Hey guys, DB Right here, and today we are back. Well, we are here with our first Sailor Moon What If. What if the Sailor Guardians were evil? Now, we all know the story. Princess from Moon Kingdom falls in love with Prince Endymion from the Earth Kingdom. A lady who wanted the prince all to herself gets jealous. Allies herself with a nasty evil entity known as Queen Berrel, and pretty much ruins everybody's life, and everyone's everything's gone to pot, so we could say. And pretty much the only thing that could stop Queen Berrel and Berrel from conquering both kingdoms was Queen Serenity and the power of the Silver Crystal, ending the war, giving Earth the chance to start again. However, she couldn't save her own kingdom from being destroyed by Sailor Saturn, but hey, no one's perfect, am I right? And, her dying wish is that the Sailor Guardians could be reborn on Earth and live normal, happy lives. And it would seem that she would actually get her wish. However, throughout the years, as mankind has begun re-evolving itself and the Earth's land splitting apart into what we call countries now, Beryl sends Kunzite, Jadeite, Nephrite, and Zoisite. Please tell me I named all of them correctly and didn't name one of them twice. Anyway, running around looking for this Sailor Guardians, who aren't yet born. Now, how are they supposed to find the Sailor Guardians, right, if they're not born yet? Well, assuming the rebirth works the same way it did for the Sailor Quartel, if you don't know who they are, they're from the Dead Moon Kingdom arc. Now, assuming reincarnation works in a similar way, the Sailor Guardians right now would be physical objects on Earth, probably a piece of their original planet that they came from, so there'd be a piece of Mars for Mars, piece of Mercury for Mercury. I know at this point we're sort of just making that up, I understand that, but I think we can have a little leeway here. Because after all, we don't know for sure how the reincarnation process actually works. Because I assume they were reborn, because this was at the moment they were originally reborn is where evil was at its strongest, or some kind of reasoning like that. Anyways, so it would stand to reason before they are reborn properly, they'd be objects. And well, Kunzite and the other Dites, we'll call them Dites for now, do manage to capture 3 of them. They do manage to find 3 of them, and with Queen Berrel's magic, her way to corrupt people, she manages to corrupt the 3 Sailor Guardians she finds. Now, here's the fun part. We are now time skipping ahead to where we now get to where the 2 Sailor Guardians who have managed to go undetected at this point, which is Venus and of course Moon. Call it luck of the draw, they just couldn't find the last 2. And well, basically they are born, Usagi's late for school, and meanwhile Jadeite has sent the first monster we see in the series, the one that transforms into Usagi's best friend's mother and steals human energy by selling jewelry to people. Yeah, that one. Meanwhile, the reincarnated Prince Endymion, Tuxedo Mask, or Mamoru, is in search of the Silver Crystal and is trying out this jewelry store as his next target. Now, Usagi, just like in the original, runs into Luna the cat, who has just been victimized by a bunch of bratty teens who decided to put a band-aid on what they thought was a bald spot. And well, thanks to Usagi removing it, Luna's energy was basically restored, and later that night, Luna the cat goes to Sailor Moon and talks that whole awkward conversation and tells her all about, the whole conversation, Sailor Moon being a Sailor Guardian. And well, with a bit of convincing, she convinces Usagi to transform to Sailor Moon, and she's being alerted that her best friend is under attack, leading her straight to the jewelry store, ready for first battle. Difference is, this monster has backup this time, in the form of Sailor Mars, because Sailor Mars and Jadeite were a couple, so there's no reason they wouldn't be a couple as two evil baddies. And Luna is surprised to see this. Mars, evil, working for the bad guys. This doesn't make sense, Usagi. She's supposed to be on our side. And, well, things get from bad to worse pretty quickly. However, Moon is able to get the upper hand with her most powerful and ruthless technique, crying. Because when she cries, apparently that is one of her powers and weapons. It creates an echoing, almost sonic-like noise that is just unbearable to hear. It's enough for Tuxedo Mask to assist in the battle, and well, Moon Tiara Boomerang! Sailor Moon is able to vanquish the monster and force Sailor Mars into retreating. And well, needless to say, with Tuxedo Mask basically taking his bolt and running, Luna doesn't know what to make of any of this. First we got this Tuxedo Mask running around, and Sailor Mars, their enemy? What has happened? This was not how this was supposed to happen. After all, Luna could recognize Sailor Mars. Something is just not right. And Usagi, of course, doesn't want anything to do with this being Sailor Guardian, a hero and whatnot. So, basically, the task comes clear. Usagi needs to find the other Sailor Guardians, and somehow they got to find a way to try and rescue Mars. Of course, we know something they don't know. And, well, the next day at school, Luna gets this strange feeling about this loner girl running around, rumored to be a genius. Short, blue-haired girl. This is Sailor Mercury, of course. And, well, Moon and Army Mizuno tend to hit it off and become friends just like they do in the original. However, Mercury, just like Mars, is corrupted by Berrel's magic, but since they don't know each other's identities yet, it's they could have a bit of a friendship. So this time around, this means Army Mizuno is actually helping the monster, stealing kids' energy with that data disk. And when we now get to the point where Usagi and Luna are figuring that out, they get the surprise of their lifetime when Army transforms into Sailor Mercury and begins attacking them. And well, helping the monster steal energy for the Dark Kingdom in order to release Queen Metalia. And well, unfortunately this means Sailor Moon is forced to do battle with her new friend, which I guess now is enemy, and just like with Sailor Mars in the previous part, Luna can't make heads or tails of it. Why are these allies, people who are supposed to be their allies, on the bad side? This is not the Sailor Mercury I remember. This is Luna talking. Something has happened. Something is turning their allies against them. Obviously, it's just a matter of that the enemy found the Sailor Guardians first. That the only one unaccounted for at the moment is Sailor Venus. And well, luckily for Sailor Moon, Tuxedo Mask, at least in this timeline, does come to her aid and manages to free her from the grips of this monster and Mercury, as she's able to take advantage and vanquish the monster, and essentially forcing Sailor Mercury to flee the scene. So at least once again the world is saved from him. And well, unfortunately for Sailor Moon, this means she is on her own. But in a way, this does motivate Sailor Moon, or Usagi, to step up as a Sailor Guardian, as Luna is actually making Usagi play that Sailor V video game. As we know with the series reboot, the video game is actually part of the Sailor Guardian's training. It is something that Sailor V herself and Artemis had set up as a way of communicating and as a way to train the other Sailor Guardians up for combat. And since this is actually properly explained to Usagi this time around, she's taking the training simulations seriously. So at least we may get a more formidable Sailor Moon this time around. Sailor V kick! Kidding. Anyways, and at this point it is pretty much confirmed that Sailor Venus is the only other Sailor Guardian who has not been corrupted, for Sailor Moon does get those moments where she thinks the video game is talking to her. Of course, we know that actually is the case. That's Sailor Venus actually talking to her through the video game. But Usagi is brushing it off to late night sickness, something funny like that. But she is determined that she will find a way to free the other two Guardians. She hasn't run into the third one yet. And well, now we get into the events where she actually meets Ray. Now, she has run into Ray before, of course, because she was Sailor Mars in the previous part, but she hasn't run into the true identity of Sailor Mars, just like Sailor Mars has never seen Usagi transform yet. So, their meeting at the temple goes on like it pretty much does in the original story. The meet and greet. However, this time, Sailor Mars, in this case, or Ray, either way, same person, are actually purposely luring people to the bus that is kidnapping people and stealing their energy, taking them to that dimension where their energy is being sucked out, where people have gone missing. And so far, it's been like 3 buses so far. This is one of Jadeite's little schemes. And, well, things are going from bad to worse as Rei purposely leads Usagi into the ambush. And once again, Usagi is forced to expose her identity in front of Rei, who reveals that she, of course, is Sailor Mars, and we get a battle between Mars, Rei, and Jadeite, which you might think that Usagi is being dominated by the two, but no, thanks to her taking these training simulations a bit more seriously, she's actually doing okay holding her own against this deadly duo. And of course, there's always Tuxedo Mask to lend a hand and help out, which he does. And pretty much like in the original, it forces the two to pretty much retreat. And thanks to Tuxedo Mask's help, they're able to rescue the bus hostages, which luckily it's another victory. Luna is still very unsure whether or not they should be trusting of this Tuxedo Mask, because it is clear he is looking for the silver crystal. And, well, Luna is thinking about how are they gonna actually free the other Sailor Guardians. It's possible that their memories are corrupted. Perhaps if Luna can maybe show them who they really are, they'll snap out of it. Perhaps the whole giving them the transformation pens, but at this point, Luna can't do that because there are a few blank spaces in her memory as well that she is actually aware of. And well, now meanwhile, as Usagi is going around stopping monsters on her own, the 3 enslaved Sailor Guardians, Jupiter, Mars, and Mercury, are attacking Sailor Venus and Artemis. They currently suspect, thanks to Queen Berrel, that she and pretty much Venus proclaiming that she is the Moon Princess, the long-lost Princess Serenity. So Venus is pretty much the #1 priority target. And of course, this is all a facade in order to protect Sailor Moon. And, well, the plan is working, except for this one incident where the 3 enslaved Guardians actually nearly managed to kill Venus and Artemis. A very close scrape, because, well, they had their boyfriends helping them as well. You know, Nephrite, Zoisite, and those guys. So, it really wasn't looking too good for Sailor Venus, and it's pretty much gotten to the point where they've got a rendezvous with Luna and make their presence known and step up their plans, otherwise they're never going to free the other Sailor Guardians. Now meanwhile, Sailor Moon has had at least one encounter with Sailor Jupiter. You know, the whole plans with mannequins turning into people, and they're going around stealing energy from boys, hooking up with boys and stealing their energy. I'm pretty sure it was a monster, something to do with mannequins. And a nasty storm. And you guessed it, Jupiter is on the side of the enemy this time, so it made things quite difficult for Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask to actually stop this incident. But again, they do manage to pull through. And well, we pretty much get to a point where there is an all-out attack on Sailor Moon this time, because, well, since she's supposed to protect the Moon Princess, at least as far as Berrel's intelligence is concerned, it made sense for them to get rid of the soldier, as it were. And, well, luckily, Sailor Venus, along with Tuxedo Mask, are there to help and fight them off initially. And Sailor Venus is able to reveal herself to, Sailor Moon. And this is when they actually do attempt to restore everyone's memories to them. So, the Sailor Guardians, the ones in Queen Berrel, do fully realise who they are and what they're meant to be doing. However, the evil nature within them is resisting back, so they're not turning good yet. But it's a start in the right direction, because at the very least, trying to resist them. And, well, this definitely proves to be quite the big fiasco when we get to the Princess's Ball. That's the part of the story where some big international princess is coming into town to show off some sort of national treasure. And, well, since at this point in the story, everyone thinks Sailor Venus is the Moon Princess, they're not after this princess to, because they think she's the Moon Princess, but it's very possible that this national treasure could be the missing silver crystal. So, pretty much everyone is there at the dance, and including our evil Sailor Guardians. And like I said, the whole thing is basically a whole hilarious, messy fiasco with, there's even a hilarious incident where everyone's trying to get the treasure away from each other. It's like one big game of keep away. However, Nephrite, the man in charge of this mission, is not having it at all, as he, pretty much unleashes a devastating attack, and Nephrite doesn't even seem to care whether or not he hits his girlfriend, Sailor Jupiter, in the crossfire. And, well, needless to say, he does manage to get the treasure and does get a look at it. It turns out it's not the silver crystal at all, it's just, if I recall, wasn't it a tiara or something? Bottom line is, it was not the silver crystal. Nephrite is furious at this, and well, he immediately goes to attack Sailor Moon and Venus, unleashing a devastating attack that hits Moon to the point where she's basically hanging off the roof of the building, and it's very possible she could slip and fall to her doom, but luckily for her, Tuxedo Mask is there to catch her in the nick of time, who has also been having his memories restored, and he knows that this Sailor Moon person, for some reason, someone he admires a lot and needs to protect. He doesn't fully understand it himself, but that's what this whole thing is about. Him finding out who he really is. And so, basically, you're probably thinking that it's Sailor Venus alone against 3 evil counterpart Sailor Guardians and Nephrite, but actually, no. With Nephrite's vicious attack earlier that hit his own allies in the crossfire, well, do you really think Sailor Jupiter is really the type to take that, even if the shot came from her boyfriend? Heck no, of course not. So, in a way, the corrupt Sailor Guardians have sort of turned on Nephrite and have given Venus the chance to slip away unharmed, where with Luna and Artemis's help, they're able to arrive Usagi and get out of there relatively unscathed. I know the good guys are retreating a lot, but they are up against overwhelming odds, and basically Queen Berrel, like sort of almost holographic image of Queen Berrel, or transitional image of a see-through version of Queen Berrel appears and basically orders her subordinates to break up the fight immediately before she destroys them all. Are you all too busy fighting each other that you fail to see the Sailor Guardians have gotten away? Possibly with the silver crystal? Nephra tries to assure Queen Berrel that this national treasure was not the silver crystal. Silence! Has it ever occurred to you that the silver crystal could have been any amount of jewelry here? And this definitely has a lot of them scared, and Queen Berrel basically orders a lot of them to withdraw. There will be disciplinary issues later to solve. And, well, with the events of what has happened to Usagi during that whole scuffle has shaken her up a little bit, possibly a concussion due to whiplash from being hit by Nephrite like that. It's taken her, dare I say, out of action somewhat, which has pretty much left Sailor Venus alone trying to stop these bad guys, all these enemies from the Dark Kingdom. And this is pretty much where we get to the issue up on, I think the landmark is called Tokyo Tower. The nice red looking thing kind of looks like the Eiffel Tower. Is that not called Tokyo Tower? I might have it wrong. I do apologize. I am bad with my landmarks too. But you know the place I'm trying to describe. Now this is where Berrel makes her appearance to the Sailor Guardians for the first time in the original. And she does again, because remember, they still think Venus is the Moon Princess and have every intention on capturing her. And this time, not even Tuxedo Mask has enough of power and assist to help her get out of this, and Nephrite and the rest of the frights, as I call them, and the corrupt, evil Sailor Guardians, it's just too overwhelming. However, Sailor Moon does manage to force herself out of bed and is heading towards Tokyo Tower herself, and Luna and Artemis are trying to pretty much stop her. You're too weak to be of any help right now. But after seeing the sheer determination of Usagi, well, Luna decides it's time to give her Serenity's wand. It is what's given to Sailor Moon when she is established as the leader, which is supposed to only happen when she unites all the other Sailor Guardians, but desperate times, desperate measures, and she takes the wand, and from where she is, she's still a bit of a distance away from Tokyo Tower. She's close enough by that she can see the mayhem happening, and that Venus is nearly finished. And with Berrel being on the front line too, this is the first time she has seen Tuxedo Mask, aka Prince Endymion, the man she loved and started all this chaos for in the first place. But before she could act on it, moon healing escalation! And it is aimed directly for Queen Berrel when Usagi has aimed the attack directly at Queen Berrel, and well, all of Queen Berrel's subordinates jump in front of the blast and take the full front of it. Mercury, being the one in front, is hit with it the most, while everyone just sort of gradually barrels a little bit weakened. She has no choice but to evacuate right now. And, well, as everyone in the Dark Kingdom sort of comes to, that brat, Sailor Venus, was never the Moon Princess. It was Sailor Moon the entire time. Well, yeah, duh. I mean, Moon Princess, Sailor Moon. It's in her name. It's in her name. So, anyways, back to the story. So, basically, Queen Berrel, now aware of her the Moon Princess's identity, and basically she can go after Prince Endymion whenever she wants. She's pretty much overly in a good mood. It wasn't a total loss. However, as Mercury is coming to, she has come to a sudden, horrible realization. What? What am I doing here? Where on earth am I? And the other two Sailor Guardians that have been enslaved by Queen Berrel, Mars and Jupiter, are sort of feeling the same way. Mercury has got access to more of her memories now, and is more or less almost the person she should be. Like the other two are still resisting it somewhat. And well, it becomes clear that Mercury intends to desert Queen Berrel and the Dark Kingdom and help Usagi and the others fight off this evil, when the other two, who haven't quite fully been released yet, actually turn her in, and Berrel just simply puts the spell back on her. And it works. But this is a good sign, guys. It means the good guys are in there somewhere. Just needs another push. Even at that moment when Sailor Moon's power released, and before she passed out, she could hear the cries of her corrupt comrades. She now wakes up in a mysterious apartment. Of course, this turns out to be Mamoru's, aka Tuxedo Mask's, apartment, who is obviously safe and comfortable with revealing his identity at this point. And, yeah. This is pretty much where we get to the point where Mamoru is captured and undergoes the same kind of spell that the Sailor Guardians are under, and is now Prince Endymion, the lover of Queen Berrel, even though he's all spellified and all of that. So we're pretty much getting to the point where Usagi is beginning to feel that sense of helplessness, that they're not going to beat these guys, evil's going to win, yada, yada, yada. But something is still keeping Sailor Moon fighting. There's a bit of light and fight left in her to keep her going. And that is the fact that she could hear the screams of all comrades calling for her to release them. And with that determination to set everyone free, including Mamoru, that amount of love that she's exposing Guess what, guys? It's Princess Serenity time for Usagi, as she forms into her princess form, dress and everything, and rather than going for a big hunt for the silver crystal forms in her hand and becomes part of the wand, of Queen Serenity's wand. And this actually causes another awakening, something that happens earlier in this timeline because of the great imbalance between light and evil. As we go to another part of the city where a certain young lady named Haruka, I'm pretty sure that's her name, has just finished winning a race, and she's being followed by this other girl who turns out to be Sailor Neptune. Turns out to be Sailor Neptune. I had to think of which one she was for a second. And well, with the sudden cries out from the Moon Princess and the power being unleashed right now, as Usagi accepts her destiny as the Moon Princess, caused the awakening of these other two Sailor Guardians, Sailor Neptune and Sailor Uranus, who are immediately coming to the aid of their princess. After all, that's their job. Usually they're more for extraterrestrial intruders and whatnot, but I'm pretty sure Queen Berrel and Queen Metalia do count as extraterrestrial intruders. Either way, it's extraterrestrial influence. Therefore, this is within Uranus and Saturn's jurisdiction. And they really got to help out their princess. And so, we're pretty much heading into the final battle as Princess Serenity, or Usagi, Sailor Moon, whatever you want to call her, she's got that many names, and Venus are planning a big one final stand against the Dark Kingdom and trying to restore their friends. And, well, as it all seems lost, because, well, they are trying to make sure that Usagi does not use that wand again to undo everything Queen Berrel has done to the enslaved Sailor Guardians, but all is not lost, because Uranus and Neptune appear. World shaking! And I forget the name of Neptune's attack. One of their cool attacks, and it pretty much helps even the odds somewhat that Usagi can finally use the wand to heal everybody. And she does. The power hits the corrupted Sailor Guardians and Tuxedo Mask and restores them back to their original state. And finally, the corrupt Sailor Guardians are granted use of the transformation pens. And so, for the first time ever, they can properly transform to their proper Sailor Guardian states. Mars power, makeup, all of that. And basically, as the light clears up, all 5 original Sailor Guardians standing side by side, walking out of the mist, all of them including Usagi in her Sailor Moon form, and in the center, marching straight to the castle where they must have their final showdown with Queen Berrel. And I think in their final showdown with Queen Berrel. However, I am going to bring something back from the original anime, and that are, I don't know their names, the 3 monster siblings, or is it 2? I'm pretty sure there's 3 of them, who, in the original, attacked and killed off the Sailor Guardians in the original anime. You know what I'm talking about? When they're running through the blizzard, each Sailor Guardian volunteers to stay back and hold off the deadly trio to getting to Usagi. Yeah, those things. And well, this is where Uranus and Neptune can be of even more use, as she, along with Mamoru's knights, choose to stay back and handle this monster trio, while Tuxedo Mask and the 5 original Sailor Guardians are making a big beeline for Queen Berrel. And well, as they finally are face to face with their enemy, it's quite a doozy, as Queen Berrel is already ready and was more or less prepared for this kind of eventuality, as she's using her powers of darkness and negativity to try and re-corrupt Mamoru and the Sailor Guardians, which does sort of start to begin to work, but then the silver crystal just reacts and pretty much puts an instant stop to that. Now meanwhile, Uranus, Neptune, and Endymion's former knights are definitely having a fun time with the monsters. In fact, if it were probably just Jadeite, Nephrite, Zoisite, and Kunzite, they probably would have more or less been beaten and killed. But with Uranus and Neptune there, yeah, it's pretty obvious that they're not gonna make it through this one, as Neptune and Venus take them down with a double team attack of World Shaking and Deep Submerge. And well, as that pretty much comes to a close, Uranus and Neptune sort of just back off. They walk away from the rest of the battle. Now, I don't mean like they're abandoning the mission or anything. Like, they've just left responding to a feeling that there's something else they're supposed to do. And well, yeah, they basically leave at this point. Now, the 4 Endymion's 4 knights cannot understand why they're suddenly backing away. There's just something else we got to get rid of. And if we don't, it could be something worse than the likes of Queen Berrel. Go on. Protect the others. Their final word to the 4 knights, as they are now heading towards the castle. Now, what is this new mission that Uranus and Neptune have to take on? Well, it's the beginning of the mission from when they appear in the anime. Find the talismans and find the Holy Grail and stop Pharaoh 90. And so, as the knights arrive, they see pretty much the good guys are pretty much at their knees, as another element I'm bringing back from the original. Queen Berrel has given her body to Metalia, just like she did in the original anime. Oh yes, if she can't have her Endymion and conquer the world, then she will make sure that she and Queen Metalia destroys it all. Mwahaha! I'm so evil. And well, where the power and negativity is getting into the minds of Endymion and Sailor Moon, that they feel that they're actually reliving the downfall of the Silver Millennia. In other words, Endymion thinks he's fighting off dudes trying to kill the princess, but he's actually battling his own knights at the moment. Nephrite, Zoisite, Coinsite, Jadeite. While Sailor Moon, who right now is seeing herself as Princess Serenity again, is looking on helplessly and thinking Mamoru's going to die, and she tries to kill herself with the sword, with Endymion's sword. However, luckily the other Sailor Guardians are there to stop her from doing that, and eventually they're able to snap Tuxedo Mask and Sailor Moon out of this illusion. And this seems to bring strength back into Sailor Moon, who once again morphs, I guess you could say, into her Princess Serenity form, and strength is returning to the silver crystal. No! Impossible! You should be dead! Dead! So, Metalia has no choice but to resort to unleashing a devastating magical attack, one powerful enough to wipe out the lot of them. However, the power of the silver crystal and the moon stick, I believe that's what the moon wand is called, the moon stick, is enough to shield them from the attack, and just as symbolical as in the original, but this time it's not the Sailor Guardians in spirit, they're physically there this time. They're able to join their powers with Sailor Moon, fueling more power into the silver crystal, all that love, positivity, all that good stuff, that it overpowers and wipes out Queen Metalia and destroys Berrel's body along with her. And things are restored back to normal. And, well, from then on, Usagi and her Sailor Guardians are able, in time, to rebuild their friendship, restore their bonds, as it were, and become true Sailor Guardians, as their powers get an upgrade with new transformation pens, and Sailor Moon gets a new transformation brooch, and things from this crazy beginning of the story tie into the rest of the anime, which goes exactly like normal, therefore concluding this what if story. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I did say it wasn't going to be a big, 10-parter series or something like that. I was actually quite surprised we actually got 4 parts out of it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it just the same. And if you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe and enjoy the other content on the channel. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.